Hey, folks, this is Myron from the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I know a lot of y'all followed our post from WrestleCade and how much fun I had there, but one of the best experiences I had at WrestleCade was meeting Kacee Carlisle. She's joining us today. Hello, Kacee.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for that compliment.
Well, it was great.
Awesome.
You threw out a solid match versus Rosemary, who is quite a scary character, and it was dynamite. You work a very old school, tough style, and nobody's doing that and being a good heel anymore.
Thank you. That's what I strive to do. So to hear that that's how people perceive my work and my style, and to hear that that's what people see and think when they watch one of my matches is a great big pat on the back to me.
Yeah.
Because it's that's what I am, and that's what I try to be, and it's good to know that people can still see an old school, heel in front of them when they have one presented to them.
Yes. And well, the thing is, you were able to make people boo you. You disrespected the crowd. You came out and you were nasty to people, and people bought into that, and they were hating you instantly. And you had heat, and the match was going great just from your entrance. That's an art.
Thank you.
That wrestling is missing, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Now,
that's one of the highest compliments you can pay me.
Thank you. Well, you're a lifelong wrestling fan. I've seen every single gimmick you can ever imagine, and you just took it right straight out of the book. You hit it dead on. Now, you won that match, and you became the Modern Vintage Wrestling Women's Champion.
Yes.
Okay. Now, that's not the first belt you've held.
Oh, no.
Well, give us some feedback on
not.
all the belts. Give us some belts you've held.
Oh, goodness. Well, the very first title I ever held was the NWL women's title, and NWL is a promotion that's based in Maryland, the Hagerstown, Maryland area. That was the first one I won, and that was in 2006, I believe. It was in the fall of 2006. I was about a year into my in-ring career. That was the first one. As you said, I won the Modern Vintage title. I am currently the champion at DCW, that's based in Delaware, ACW, based in Maryland, Lucha Pride Wrestling, that's based out of Texas, Elite Pro Wrestling Alliance, that's based in West Virginia, and I'm also the Queen of the Valkyries, which was an all-women's promotion based out of New York that has been on a hiatus, but the title is still around, and I'm going to be defending that, I think, a couple of times here coming up next year. So, yeah, and, just various titles. I could sit here and put thought into naming them. I'm kind of shy about doing that because I don't want to forget somebody and let them think I'm.
But how many are you holding right now?
Them. When I won the Modern Vintage title, that made number 7 currently.
Oh my God, that's a pretty big deal.
It is. It's humbling, and it's flattering to be in a position to have 7 titles at one time. And they're all actively defended. With the Valkyrie title defense that I had back in November, which actually took place the week prior to WrestleCade. They're all active titles, and they're all actively being defended, which I think is very cool. It's, you see promotions that start up and they run a couple of times and they want to go ahead and crown their champions right out of the gate, but they don't always last, honestly. And that's happened. I've been in scenarios like that, but yeah, thank you. It's a nice feeling to know that you're looked at as somebody who is not only qualified and skilled enough to hold the company's title, but somebody that they want to have as the face of the women, that are wrestling under that banner. It's a nice
definitely, because if a promotion is willing to bring you in as a heel and put a belt on you, that means they're going to have the face chasing it. So that's a main storyline thing.
It is, yeah, and that's for people that have an old school mentality, they are probably going to understand kind of what you're saying with that. It's not something that you necessarily see done all the time, especially when I'm a heel through and through. There's never, in my opinion, and granted I might be biased, but in my opinion, when I'm in the ring, I don't believe there's any question as to who is the heel in that match. It's, I'm not the cool guy. I'm just the bitch, and I don't mind being it because it's true. So.
Well, it's wrestling, You have to have a character.
It's wrestling.
And your character is very defined. When I met you at WrestleCade, I was almost a little bit intimidated to meet you because you had came off so just mean and nasty the night before. I mean, you totally got me on that. And I only get worked about every couple of months. The last time was at a show where they got me totally. But you did a good job of drawing me in and making me believe your character. And the people in the audience believe your character. Have you had to craft being a heel? Did you pick up something from anybody?
I would like to think that my heelness is a result of not only, my years in the ring and the training I got, because the guy that trained me was also a heel pretty much his entire career. I grew up on the late 1980s, from that point forward, what was at the time WWF wrestling. So I grew up, me growing up in that era, that's when it was still good versus bad. It was still very much, you had heels, you had baby faces, and they were very defined and very specific. And that's what I grew up on. That's what kind of got imprinted on my brain. And it's just what I know. To me, you do something well when it means something to you and you're not just regurgitating something that you were taught or that you've seen and you're trying to replicate. In life, I'm a smart ass. And I'm a wise ass. I'm a smart ass. I'm very sarcastic. I have, a very quick wit, a little bit of a mouth on me with my sarcasm and so forth. It's not a stretch to be a heel. It really is. It's the old cliche that everybody knows that, you're at your best when it's you with the volume turned all the way up. It's that old saying. Yeah. And for me, it's the truth. That's me. They're getting the person turned all the way up. It's just what I am, and I'm so okay with it. By the way,
well, you did a phenomenal job at it. You were somebody that worked the entire crowd. You were up against somebody who is a big time name. I mean, Rosemary is on the second biggest promotion in the country. Everybody knew who she was, and you went out there. Not only did you defeat her, you managed to make everybody in the crowd angry that you defeated her, and that was perfect. Have you worked with Rosemary before? Anyone from the bigger promotions?
Well, Rosemary, no, that was our first time meeting, much less working with each other. We had never even crossed paths before, over all these years, which it's funny how that can happen, but it does very often. So no, I had never worked with her before. That was our first time meeting at all, much less having a match together.
Wow. It looked like y'all had been wrestling together for a while from just the fans' standpoint on that.
Thank you. That's another big compliment, just to know, I enjoy the challenge of, mixing it up, and meshing styles. And, she has been around for a while too. She's not brand new to the business. And so I think that has probably something to do with it. But, it was just, I came away from that night feeling like it was a good night and feeling good about the match and how it went. So it's nice to hear your feedback to kind of confirm what I was hoping was true.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was a hell of a show though. There was all kind of stuff, anywhere from lucha type men's matches to women's matches, big guys, little guys, everything all across the board. It was a good solid night. So you basically have said you held titles all along the East Coast and the Gulf Coast. You work promotions all through there?
I do, yeah. I work primarily, my home base is the East Coast, and so primarily I'm up and down the East Coast. But I do get down into the Gulf area from time to time. I've been out to Texas several times at this point. I also now am going out to the Pacific Northwest area and up into Canada. I've been out in that area twice now. Or I'm sorry, twice or three times. Three times. Wow. I'm forgetting my own bookings. I've been out in that area three times now in the Seattle, Portland, and then the Vancouver, British Columbia area. So, so I've also been out in the Midwest. I've wrestled in Indiana. I wrestled one time in Illinois years ago as part of the Gathering of the Juggalos, which
oh boy,
some people might be familiar with, and some people might not.
That's got to be a wild show.
It is.
Oh my God.
But, and I've been as far north as Boston and as far south as, I guess, either Tampa. I guess I was close to Miami. I was down in Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
One time. I think that's a little further south. Yeah. So honestly, wherever I can go and have the opportunity to get into the ring and work, I'm going to go. So hopefully at some point I would have hit every state. That's one of those long-term goals of mine, just because I just think it would be cool.
Is there anybody you really want to work with that you haven't got to work with yet?
Actually, to be honest with you, there's a lot, the areas in which I work most frequently don't have the deepest talent pool when it comes to females as far as the number of girls. So I do end up, and I'm not saying this in a negative way in any manner at all, but I do end up working many of the same girls quite often. Which is fantastic. But it also means that there's a lot of girls that I've never gotten the chance to mix it up with. So, it's kind of like the title belts where I don't want to start naming names because I'm afraid I'm going to forget somebody. But there's a ton. Yeah. I mean, I would be thrilled to be in the ring with anybody who's trained and should be in the ring. I would be thrilled to be in the ring with them just to challenge myself and mix it up with them and their styles with mine and so forth.
Yeah. I love watching you had the NWA title belt. You have that NWA wrestling feel from what I saw. I haven't watched all your matches, but I know you have that serious wrestling, ass kick, punch in the mouth type wrestling style. How did you develop that?
For me, I think a lot of it has to do with my own personal desire to have a certain style. I'm not flashy. I'm not real sparkly. I'm not somebody who, I'm not a gymnast and I'm not an acrobat. And it all goes back to, again, what I grew up with and my love for wrestling and so forth. I always wanted to be a wrestler. If I wanted to be a gymnast, I would have become a gymnast. If I wanted to be an acrobat, I would have joined the circus. To me, wrestling is pro wrestling, and I just want to deliver wrestling to people where, a fight is scrappy. If you're in a fight with somebody and if you're trying to win and it's personal or it's serious, it's not something that's always really pretty, really fluid, really kind of, flowy, pieced together. Oh, whatever. You might throw a punch, it might graze me, but I'm coming back with one to your mouth. It's just more of a gritty style. And that's just what I like. I enjoyed it as a fan. And so it's what I'm trying to bring into my style. And I think, like you said, I'm a heel. I'm usually a little bit bigger size-wise than my opponent, especially in years past. I was heavier in years past, so I was always bigger than my opponent 9 times out of 10. And it's just, I think it's just what I bring to the table. There aren't that many girls who are just dirty, scrappy, nasty. I'm willing to make the ugly faces and look gross instead of always looking pretty and put together heels.
Yeah.
So it's part of also me trying to carve out a niche for myself and stand out from the crowd while still being true to what I want pro wrestling to be and what I grew up on and what I love about pro wrestling.
Yeah, definitely. You can tell that. I think you would be more at home in the 80s, wrestling like a men's program.
Question.
You know, you'd rather be in the ring with Arn Anderson than somebody like Cheerleader Melissa or something like that. Bad choice. She's actually an ass whipper.
Well, she's phenomenal, yes, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes. I was trained by a man.
Mm-hmm.
I trained with guys. I didn't have another female, to train with or anything. So part of my style that you're referring to probably has a lot to do with that as well. I was always around guys, which I'm so much more comfortable with, by the way. I was a tomboy growing up. And, when I was a kid, I didn't have Barbies. I mean, I did, but they were gifts. I wasn't playing Tea Party or playing, here's my mannequin head, I'm going to put makeup on you and stuff. I had wrestling action figures and G.I. Joes and the He-Man figures and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's always just been all about, like, what's badass to me, the word badass. And you're absolutely right. I would be so okay with back in the 80s in the ring with a guy. When people talk to me about training, Kacee, I'd love for you to come into the school. I have 2 girls who are just starting to train, and I would like you to come and train with them because you're a woman too. And I always look at the person, always. And I say, there is no difference between them training with me and them training with the guy. There shouldn't be a difference.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what people think they're going to get differently than what they're going to do just because I'm female, but for me, there's no difference.
We're at this weird spot in the development of wrestling now where we actually see female wrestlers wrestling men and getting the same amount of respect that the men are getting, and that's not been the case.
Mm-mm.
Y'all are going from being more of a sideshow to a main event type program. Women's wrestling is booming.
Yeah, I do see that happening.
Yeah, and I love seeing that. I love seeing people, regardless of what their sex is, rewarded for their skill in the ring. And if you focus back on the WWE programs that have been most interesting in 2017 and 2016 for me, were the women programs, because they're violent, they're passionate, and women show that amount of emotion that the men just don't show on the main product anymore. They get into it.
Yeah.
They just get into it. That's something I grew up watching Continental and the old school stuff. And so that's what I was fed every Sunday morning was old school, good versus evil, heels and faces. And that's what, God, they've been writing that since Shakespeare. I mean, that's literary devices there that people use.
For me, part of it too, like, and I don't mean to cut you
off.
No,
go ahead.
But, I'm an odd bird when it comes to the intergender and so forth, because on one hand, I have always taken a little bit of an issue with people who make statements with that everlasting asterisk footnote at the end. For example, she's a great wrestler for a girl, or she's good. I'm like, look, I don't want my anatomy, just because I'm an innie, not an outie. I don't want that to be what determines who I'm better than or who I might rank up against or something. But that being said, the reason I call myself an odd bird is because, believe it or not, I'm not the biggest fan of intergender matches.
Oh, God. See, that's the thing. I have a weird thing on that because I was brought up traditional Southern gentleman. I was raised by a single mother. I was raised, don't ever hit a woman. And that was just the way it was. And I see some really good intergender matches, but I don't know how I feel yet. And I can't really make a statement on it, like a full statement on it. it just is not. I don't know. It's not my thing. Of course, death matches aren't my thing. You know.
Right. Well, and part of the reason I say that is, and you know, it's probably going to sound like I'm a female speaking against females and female rights and power and equality and all this crap. And I'm not, but I will say that it probably has to do with my old school brain, to be honest with you. But my thing with intergender matches is, unless it's really for a good reason or something, in my heart and my mind, at the end of the day, it's still a man versus a woman. And unless the guy is like, 5'2" and like 100 pounds maybe, or something like that, and he's in there with me, it's like, I don't want to be taking you off your feet every 2 seconds or lifting you up and stuff, because even though we're in 2017 going on 18, my brain sometimes still wants to reside in 1988, when you want things to be believable and have people suspend that disbelief and think, oh shit, that might really be happening.
Yeah.
You
got a very good point there.
Something I struggle with, which I know is not the popular opinion today, and I know that intergender matches are becoming more and more frequent and people like them, and more power to them. I don't hate on anybody, but for me personally, it's like, I just need to have a good reason to go into one, and I'm not necessarily going to be bumping you all over the ring or something, because the truth is, I truly feel weird doing it. I just feel like it goes against every psychology thread in my body.
And I mean, you have a right for that opinion. And that's what people in wrestling don't get as much as I think in other subjects. When you're a wrestling fan, you have a right to say, I don't like this match, or I don't like to work this. I still am trying to wrap my brain around intergender wrestling. Because it's a weird spot. And I know a lot of women love it. I don't know what their take on it.
Don't get me wrong. I've been involved in intergender. And the truth is, I do hit harder than some of the guys. I'm very, very stiff. I do hit hard. And I don't really, I think anyone who has seen my matches in person who, I can, and I'm not bragging, I'm just stating a fact. When I hit somebody, there's been almost every match, at least one or two of those strikes, you hear those efforts echo through the building. I am laying it in.
Well, yeah.
So it's not even a toughness. It's just the psychology. That's just where my head is. It's just different for me.
I can totally get that. I can totally get that, because it's wrestling is so diverse right now. And it's it's almost like going to a buffet restaurant. You can go and find the wrestling you want. You may not like potato salad, but that doesn't mean that potato salad doesn't have to be on the buffet, because there's a lot of people that want to see it.
Right, and it doesn't mean that potato salad isn't the best damn potato salad you're ever going to eat.
Yeah.
But if you don't like potato salad, it can be the best or the worst. You're still not going to try it.
Exactly. And we finally are at a place where you can see whatever you want in wrestling. And with the internet and social media and all that working together, you're so exposed to wrestlers, and you get to see their matches for everywhere. The hardest part for me, though, is when I want to talk to an indie talent, is finding out something about them. So I go looking tonight when I'm getting my research ready for the show, and you have a website, a very well done, clean website, KaceeCarlisle.com. It's Kacee. That was the thing that kept throwing me off. I kept wanting to stick a Y in there somewhere, because my daughter's name is Kacee.
Many do.
And hers is just Casey. But you Kacee Carlisle. You got a website. You've got a contact spot on their bio. You've got your merch. You've got your Twitter feed popping up on the outside. People can find you easily. They can buy your merchandise easily. You even have a clearance going on your merchandise there.
I do.
Go check it out, because she's even got shirts in my size there.
Yes, I have big shirts. Everyone, please go check it out.
Yeah.
Make me put stuff in the mail, please.
KaceeCarlisle.com. KaceeCarlisle.com. A very good website. It's everything you need to know about her. You can find her, where to find her. And I'm going through it, and I see our WrestleCade show. I see you're going to be in Delaware this weekend, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then you're going to be in Montford, Alabama the next weekend.
Yep.
Is there a difference in those crowds?
Yeah.
Because
there is.
Montford's a hard-ass joint. I'm familiar with the area. My mom taught there and was a guidance counselor at the elementary school there, and some of the stories she came back with was like, oh, God.
Yeah. There is, and there's a difference not only because it's different people, which is obvious and goes without saying, but, wrestling fans in different geographical areas are different fan bases. They just are. You can wrestle, like I said, I was in New Jersey the week before WrestleCade. So you can wrestle in New Jersey one week and the fans in New Jersey know what they like. They know what they don't like. They respond to certain stuff. They may not respond to other stuff. And then you can travel down the road to North, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, whatever. Entirely different atmosphere, entirely different crowd with entirely different likes, dislikes, desires, etc. And that's one of the reasons, to be really honest, I've said it from the day I started my career, that is one of the reasons why one of my goals is to wrestle in as many different places as I can, because I see it as a test of myself. I see it as a test of my abilities, as a test of my work. Yeah. If I know, as I said, I'm in East Coast. I'm on the East Coast all the time. There are promotions, there are fans who know me, and they know that I'm the bad girl. They know to boo, everything else. And it's really easy I think, for wrestlers to get so complacent and comfortable working in a certain geographical area in front of the same roughly X number of people who, whether the fans realize it or not, become trained and start reacting a certain way, whether it's because they're being engaged by the wrestler or because it's just what you do. If I can plot myself in front of a brand new crowd in, Timbuktu, Nebraska, and still get the heat that you were referring to that I got at WrestleCade, I know I'm doing something right. And to me, it's a testament that I am doing something that works, that gets a reaction, that makes everybody have that emotional connection to my match and to me in some way. It's a test to myself. So, yeah, I do want to wrestle all over the place, not only because I love to travel and I want to, and wrestling is what I've wanted to do since I was an 8-year-old kid, but I don't want to get comfortable wrestling, in the same area. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me personally, it's a test, and I want to constantly test myself and constantly put myself out there and see, okay, how am I really measuring up in the grand scheme of things?
That sounds a lot.
And I think everyone want to do that in some respect.
That sounds a lot like the thing they've got going with NXT right now, where the fans in Orlando love the product so much that they'll be over, and when they put them out onto the main roster, nobody knows what to do with them.
Right.
It's because they don't travel enough. Thankfully, they're going to be coming up to Atlanta to do a bunch of shows. I think that will help the product. It will get these people on the road more and get them more exposure and learn how to work different crowds. Because they don't get that. Not all of them are, Ring of Honor people that have made a crossover. A lot of them are people that are starting out.
Right. They're not all indie wrestlers who got signed. They're, some people are just learning wrestling, period.
It's a weird world in wrestling right now. You've got people that are come up like the hard way that have wrestled for years, and then you get people that just get recruited off the streets to do it. And I think it can be successful for both people. What do you see yourself doing in the future in wrestling?
Immediately, I see myself continuing to wrestle as long as I can, as long as my body will allow me, as long as I, have a place, as long as I'm getting the booking offers and so forth. That's what I wanted to do since I was 8, and I want to do it as long as I can. When that fateful day comes and I can no longer endure being in the ring, I want to believe that I would have some type of opportunity to become a trainer
Yeah.
or help with booking somewhere.
Yeah.
Wrestling has been my life for so long that it sounds cliche and people probably say it just to say it, but I mean it. I can't imagine my life without wrestling. I've tried, believe me.
Mm-hmm.
I have sat down and said to myself, this can't last forever. You have to have some air quote normal life,
Yeah.
at some point in time. And I can't even fathom that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hope to stay involved somehow, especially training. I love
Yeah.
teaching people. I love training people.
Mm-hmm.
I love passing on the knowledge that I've picked up along the way from my own experiences, as well as, people I've been able to learn from.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's what would happen in my future.
Now, so you've gotten the opportunity to pass to train a lot of people and talk and work with people like that before?
I have had the opportunity to be involved with people's training. I've never actually been a so-called trainer where I'm there consistently every class, running the show, running the class and so forth. But I have had a hand in assisting with training, at schools in years past and so forth. And I enjoy it so much. And it's been great. Some of the people, like Shane Strickland, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I was there in Strick's early days, early when he first started out at the school in Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
I was there, and now he's having so much success, and I'm just so happy for him. So that's a cool aspect of it too. But I just like to teach people and, keep my old school pro wrestling alive.
Yeah, it's so familiar, that wrestling, that old school wrestling, that when you see it, you know it, and it makes you think about stuff you've seen before. And I think that was my favorite part about seeing you perform is I was able to fall back into that whole childhood wrestling memory where people
That's music to my ears.
Yeah, well, people they were the characters. They came out there. They put over what they needed to put over. They wrestled their match. They either made you hate her or love them. It's easy to understand good old fashioned wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
It's just easy to understand. And I think a lot of people miss out on that people will buy tickets to something they know and will follow.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish more people could understand that.
Yeah, I think the emotional involvement and the emotional attachment that I grew up, just, it wasn't, obviously that was a different time, but there was no question, we weren't talking about work rate or, crap like that. Like, I don't give a flying F. All I know is I saw Mr. Fuji throw salt in dude's eyes, and now I'm pissed off, and I want to go. It's that emotional connection, and it makes me sad that, obviously the business is going to change because everything in life does. Yeah. Everything morphs and goes through transformations and phases, and pro wrestling's no different. But, to me, it's just, if I can make that emotional connection with people instead of, hi, I'm another girl, I'm going to do a lot of really cool, flashy looking things, but you're never going to actually cringe when you're watching me or go, oh crap, or anything like that.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, to me, wrestling is being 12 years old at Boutwell Auditorium in Birmingham, standing up on a seat on a folding chair and shooting birds at the Iranian Sheik. And it was like the Iron Sheik. God, I'm getting so old.
Iron Sheik, yeah.
I'm shooting birds at Iron Sheik because I felt that strongly about it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, wrestling's always been a great escape. It's been something I could take my mind off everything else and just watch my wrestling. Right. I think the world would be a better place if more people could just watch their wrestling.
Could just watch.
Yeah.
Just watch.
Yes.
Wrestling.
Well, now, we live in that
Enjoy
internet era
wrestling.
where people tear everything apart and people are so critical. How do you relate to the way people behave on Twitter and Facebook about wrestling?
I take such a hands-off approach in a lot of ways. I'm very active online, especially Facebook. I'm trying to be better about Twitter. I'm trying to be more interactive and on Twitter a little bit more. But, to me, it's this could be an episode in itself. It saddens me in a way, and it gets frustrating to me a lot of the time when fans want to busy themselves with picking things apart and criticizing. And there's constructive criticism, and then there's criticizing because you, for some reason, feel qualified to criticize and pick apart and, run somebody's name down or run down their work or something. And, back in the day, people used to have the mentality, if you're listening to a radio show and you don't like what you're hearing, then turn the knob and change the channel or the TV. It's like, dude, if you're watching one of my matches and you don't like what you're seeing, you're allowed. It's fine. Not everyone's going to be a fan, but just stop watching and move on and go find somebody that you do want to watch. To me, it's like, what is being a fan these days? Is it being a fan and getting, like you said, it's your escape. It's where you get lost. You can get caught up in this world that, has had the curtain pulled back. And so, it's like, all right, well, I'm not getting lost in this world where it's like this different reality, because it's not really reality, but it could be. Or are you a fan because you need to have some feeling of purpose in life and there's nothing else going for you, or you're bitter that you're not physically able to be a wrestler or something. So you make your fandom be equivalent to, I'm going to replay this move that they didn't do correctly. I'm going to make it a GIF and put it online and ridicule people. It's like, it's the armchair quarterback syndrome. And, it's fans. Wrestling fans are so unique, I think, in the fact that they are one of, if not the most vocal fan base in the world. Even I think more than NFL. People will scream and moan.
You're much more interactive with wrestlers than you are any other sport.
And that allows fans to feel a sense of entitlement and a sense of purpose and a sense of, well, hear ye. Yeah. We interact with each other. Therefore, what I'm saying not only should matter, but it does. And damn it, I said it, and everyone else needs to think this and be on. And it's just like anything in life. It's like, look, your opinion is just like an a-hole. Everyone has one. They're all different. Congratulations. But I could go on, all day about the whole internet fan,
getting
everything.
Hurt, their feelings hurt every single day in pitching fits. And you see all this negative stuff. There's a lot of negative publicity right now for wrestlers.
The negativity is ridiculous.
Yeah. And there's a lot of horrible things in the world right now that are getting exposed because of stuff people did that have made it out on the internet. And it's good and bad, but there's no need for us to be mean to everybody else. Or no need.
What good does it do?
No, because you're not hurting that person. It's like people that bitch about Vince McMahon. He doesn't care.
No, Vince McMahon certainly does not care.
He's going to sit on his money and laugh at you.
Right. And it's like, the truth of the matter is, and this goes for fans and it also goes for workers and so forth, running somebody down and talking crap on somebody doesn't make them better, nor does it make them worse, nor does it make you any different. It's just you being a negative troll for the sake of, it's that old saying, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Yeah. Well, okay, so you have a Twitter account. Now you might have 280 characters to voice your opinion. Congratulations. Just because you can sit here and just rail on somebody because they might have botched a spot or something, it's like, why do you think that nobody, number one, why do you think we care about you mouthing off about something you've never experienced or you don't do? And number two, why do you think that, your opinion is fact and like it should hold any water at all? Because there's 5 other people with a different opinion. And that's, to me, it's one of the huge problems with social media. Everyone wants to pound on their chest and say, oh, we're diverse and we all need to be diverse and everyone has an opinion. But yet the minute somebody disagrees with that person, with their opinion, oh, it's wrong. Oh, well, you're wrong.
Yep.
Well, why aren't you wrong? Because, it's ridiculous. And the sense of entitlement that fans have with being acknowledged or wanting to be acknowledged or wanting the, being pat on the head or something like that. It's, again, just because you can doesn't mean you should. If you're going to send me a direct message on Twitter calling me every name in the book and telling me how horrible I am, and I don't respond because guess what? I don't have to do anything.
Amen.
I don't have to do a damn thing, but live my life and eventually die. Like, there's nothing in my life I have to do, especially respond to you. And then you're going to get pissy and follow up with another message berating me for not answering you. It's like, why do you think you're entitled to a response or acknowledgement? If you don't have anything else in your life and you need to be acknowledged that badly, I highly suggest you find somebody else or rethink things.
Yeah,
it's just, and I'm starting to go off topic a little bit, and I'm sorry, but
no, this doesn't have to be about wrestling all the time. We can talk about anything. And I agree with you.
Crazy.
If you don't have anything that's nice to say, just don't say anything.
I call it the Thumper Mentality.
Yeah.
And I've literally, I have 4 nieces, and I have used that on every single one of my nieces. I look at them and I say, honey, this is a time that we need to employ the Thumper Mentality. What's that? Well, if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all, because there's no reason for it.
Yeah.
It's just, there's constructive conversation and there's productive conversation, and you can certainly have debates and differing opinions. My problem is with the people who want to voice their opinion, but they don't want anyone to voice a differing one, because then it becomes right and wrong. And it's just so messed up.
Yeah.
I use the analogy of music. Are you a music fan? Yeah. Oh, cool. I really like Toby Keith. Ew, he's horrible. Why? Well, I hate country music. That doesn't mean Toby Keith is a horrible singer or isn't talented or doesn't have a gift. You might not like his style of music, but it doesn't take away from what he provides music in general. And wrestling's the same thing. You don't like my old school style? Good for you. I don't, that's fine. Not everyone is going to. So you like Lucha Libre or whatever, but you still like wrestling. So why are you running wrestling down at all, dude?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting off of my soapbox now.
No, it's okay. Like I said, it's always good to get opinions on stuff, and hear from people in the business. This is your reaction to how you feel about different things going on and the way people act on the internet. And I don't get the way people act on the internet.
I don't either.
really don't. It hurt. I mean, it's hard. It's got to be hurtful inside for the people that do that kind of stuff. And I don't have time to hate people because hate takes up energy. You know,
hate breeds hate, and you know, you have to. And it's when I am training people or involved. You know, there are some girls who are young in the business that come to me for advice, and they call me their mentor, and that is so flattering and humbling to me that I might be playing a role to that degree in their career or their life. You know, and I tell them, I'm like, look, you will not survive in this business if you don't have a thick skin.
Yeah.
You cannot read every comment or anything about yourself online and, you know,
Yeah, definitely.
absorb it. You can't. You have to have a thick skin. It's just how it is. The problem that I see, however, is that we are currently living in a world and a society that thrives on negativity in general. People don't want to give praise. People don't want to retweet the really nice tweets or the compliments or something. They want to retweet the, the smart ass jabs at people, or you have to read in between the lines and know what the story, or, the cryptic tweets or something like that. And then it just causes, what are they talking about? Now I have to look into what this story, oh no. And I'm going to start mouthing on. It's a snowball effect. And, it is what it is. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, just like I'm entitled to mine, you're entitled to yours, and so forth. It's like, at what point are you no longer being a fan and you're just being a hater or a troll just because? It's just disheartening to see.
Yes. It's tough. It's tough to and in the meantime, why are you still watching this? If you don't enjoy it and it's this bad, why are you watching it? Why are you going back to start a fight or to get in, to get some kind of, you're not going to convince these people to change what they're doing. Just why are you bothering to go through all this to interact with these people and run them down when just turn the channel, go to a different match.
It's no different than watching a television show.
Yeah.
And you watch episodes 1 through 3 and you're like, you know what? Not really feeling it, not really into it. You probably don't watch it again.
Yeah.
But how much of your life do you use going online to bash the show?
Yeah.
Because you watched episode. It doesn't happen. Wrestling is so unique in that sense. And I believe, honestly, to me, it says more about that person than the person that they're being vocal about. It says more about you, that you want to use your life, your precious time walking this earth, to come online with the sole purpose of running this person down or speaking negatively, instead of just, why even give them any publicity? Just not even mention it. Why are you even dedicating time in your existence to something that you're openly saying you don't like? I just do not get it. Just turn the channel, or stop following, or don't watch, or whatever. Go be happy running through a field of daisies or some crap.
The world is a strange place these days. It is a very strange place. And wrestling should be something that is a constant, that people are... Why watch wrestling if you don't like it?
I will never know.
You got everything, 18 million channels. You have to go out there and try to find wrestling. Yeah, like today we were talking about some of the stuff going on in the main roster. Well, I don't like the booking, but I'm not criticizing one or two guys. I'm talking about a major corporation. But still, I'm not that negative about them. I can say, well, I just don't like what they've done with Bray Wyatt. I like Bray Wyatt as a wrestler. I don't like the way he's being booked. But I'm not going to go bash him, because he's just doing his job.
Right, and you're not bashing the company as a whole. You're just you're isolating one specific opinion that you have, but it's not like you're saying, oh, they all suck, it's all crap.
But the thing is, people are downloading the show to get my opinion on this stuff. So basically they've asked, but I mean, if nobody's asking, you just don't give it to them.
Right.
I don't know.
It's, and the last thing I'll say on that is the last comment you just made. If no one's asking, why give it to them? That to me speaks volumes, because again, it's like, really, what purpose is there in spewing just to spew? What I maintain the mentality. I honestly believe this, and I do my best to practice it. It's like, look, me running down somebody, if I get a match, which I do every now and then, somebody, oh God, Kacee, watch this match. You're gonna be throwing up in a few minutes. And it's some random girls match from some other area, just a random something that sent, oh, watch this, you're gonna hate it. Well, okay, maybe the match wasn't so great. Maybe it really was just a bad match. But I'm not posting that link and being like, everyone check out this crap, because talking crap on that, it doesn't make me better.
No.
My work does not improve with every insult I throw out there or every negative word. I don't get better. It doesn't help my work at all. It doesn't get me, it doesn't help me, my psychology be better. It doesn't help me throw a better punch. It doesn't
get
help
you booked.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So why, we promote what we hate. Why do you think there are so many pages on Facebook about, oh, look at all these crappy workers that shouldn't be in the business? It's like, why are you bringing people's attention to stuff that you don't think is good? Why aren't you posting good stuff? Things that you think are good, who deserve to have the eyes on them or something. I can't wrap my head around it.
Find what you like, enjoy it. That's all there is to it. Just find what you like and enjoy it. Don't watch stuff you don't like. It's just like
there's something out there for everybody.
Yeah, and it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. It's very tricky though. It's very treacherous out there. But I'm just glad though we get so much wrestling and so much access to wrestling. Like if I wanted to sit down and watch every match you've ever had recorded, I would bet I could get just about every one of them from my chair here, and that's great.
You don't have to worry about trading tapes through the mail.
God, I can't see. I miss that altogether.
Which is a reference that probably half your audience doesn't even get.
I miss that era altogether, which is weird because I think I probably would have been one of those guys doing that because I've always loved to see the odd match. It's something no one else has seen, and now I can watch it online, or I can go to. And that's what I like to go to. Everybody's like, well, why don't you go to see the WE? Well, I can see that on TV, or I can drive somewhere out to some gymnasium or a old converted building and watch something I'm not going to get to see on TV, and see something and see somebody I might meet that's nice, and buy a cool T-shirt. It's just fun, and that's what keeps us doing this podcast. Is we have a lot of fun doing this.
That's what it's about.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, I've had a lot of fun talking to you tonight, and I really appreciate you coming on.
As have I. Thank you.
Now,
it's been great.
Tell us one more time, where can we find your website? My
website lives on the internet at www.kaceecarlisle.com. As you said, Kacee is Kacee, Carlisle, Carlisle. So that's kind of my one-stop hub online. I got tired of all of, Facebook, there's friend limits and crap like that. So, my website, as you said, has my upcoming appearance information. It has merchandise. It has, photos, and to be honest with you, my plan for the coming year, there's some, updates and new features and so forth that I want to add to it. So it'll probably expand and grow a little bit. But, that's where anybody, you don't have to be my Facebook friend. You don't have to follow me on Twitter. KaceeCarlisle.com is kind of a one-stop shop for all the information. And then, of course, I do have my social media and so forth as well.
And you've got a link to your Pro Wrestling Tees store.
I do. I have the link for my Pro Wrestling Tees store, which has it has 4 designs on there currently, hopefully with some more to be added this coming year. And on my website is a T-shirt design that's not available on Pro Wrestling Tees. The only place you can get it is my website or in person. And those are part of the clearance section that you were referring to. I'm not having those shirts reprinted. So, they're all, $20 no matter the size, up to 5X. So it's
a damn good price.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely. Thank you. So
Yep,
absolutely.
Well, you know what? That's been about the easiest time I've ever asked somebody where you can find it, and you could tell us exactly where to find you because you haven't had to trace it all over the place. You got that one place. That's brilliant. Wrestlers, if you want to do business, everybody can find you if you get a website. It's that simple. Or you at least get a Wikipedia page. Make it, just make it easy, and you'll get more bookings. You'll get more publicity, and definitely, you've been an absolute joy to talk to tonight. I appreciate you coming on, and I really would look forward to having you back on in the future. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll do it again in a couple of months.
Okay,
No problem.
awesome. You have a great night now. Thank you.
You too.
Thanks for listening, folks. You're the ones that make this all worth doing. Go over to tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com and find all of our shows. There's a player with links to every single show we've ever done. There are our affiliate links for Amazon, the Fight app, and the Blue Apron. Purchase some stuff through there and help the guys out. You can find our social media there. You can find links to wherever our podcast is found. Get on in there, subscribe. Go to Pro Wrestling Tees if you'd like to purchase some of the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast wonderful t-shirts. Pro Wrestling Tees is a great company. Look for us at upcoming live shows, and come by and say hi. We love our fans, and we love what we're doing. Thank you.